On a sunny day, Kiyoshi protagonist's face turned down. The vice president squatted directly above him. But he has no time to enjoy this beauty. He had to get out of here immediately. But he didn't expect it. The vice president's foot slipped. This is a school with a ratio of 1 to 200 boys to girls. As the only 5 boys in the school, they are in school for 2.5 months, but he never said a word to his sister. Kiyoshi, who can't bear it, decides. But when he actually stood in front of the girl, he can't speak because he's distressed. Suddenly, a senior sister walked over, take the two of them away as if nothing had happened. And this scene made Takehito feel deeply, because he used to talk to girls like this, but undoubtedly all exceptions were rejected. Now he was even more certain. The 5 of them were rejected by all the girls in the school. However, the reason why girls are like this, that's because the science union at the school, they use crows to monitor if anyone is communicating with boys. Severe punishment. But things quickly ushered in a turning point. During the exam, the hero's eraser accidentally fell out, just as he was carefully checking. But the class Chio saw the sumo wrestling pattern on the eraser. Kiyoshi thought he would be hated by the class beauty because of the strange eraser. But he didn't expect Chio to take the initiative to talk to him after class, and ask him if he likes sumo wrestling.
Sumo, 大好きです.
The two of them chatted all afternoon. Before leaving, she also invited him to watch the sumo match together. At this moment, Kiyoshi has reached an intracranial climax. In the evening, the 4 of them, who were unbearably lonely, decided to go to the women's bathhouse to peek. This scares the simple-minded Kiyoshi owner. Fortunately, when he was so wretched that he could not be excited enough to vomit blood, he also began to think about it. My mind is full of pictures that need to be praised and unlocked. So everyone was numb and suffered from the night walking map. At the same time, he also made the oath of death for the betrayer. But Kiyoshi had immediately regretted it, because halfway through, he learned that the peeping class was his own class. This also means that Chio will also be looked at by these perverts. But at this time, the group of people were so excited that they became abnormal. If he opened his mouth now, he would probably be eaten on the spot. Just as he hesitated, everyone had quietly reached the roof of the building. While Shingo was still wondering how to peek at a girl like this, Kiyoshi next to him said that he might as well forget it. But the next second, Takehito took out his phone in front of him. They can take advantage of the video capabilities of their phones. Drop their mobile phone into the skylight of the bathhouse with a rope. In this way, people can see the indoor picture even if they don't go in. But the direction of the phone is reversed. The picture they photographed is the wall with leaflets attached to it. So Takehito above tried to adjust his position. At the moment, in order to prevent them from seeing Chio's body, he had a bold idea, that is to push these 4 people down. But at that moment, he saw Chio walking in the opposite direction of the Imperial Room. That means she finished showering. Thinking of this, Kiyoshi immediately joined the army of peeping. He even put down his mobile phone himself. Takehito said that's exactly what he should say, because the phone below belongs to him. Hearing this, when he was excited, his phone dropped into the flower pot. But fortunately, there was no one inside, so the heavy responsibility of holding the mobile phone naturally falls on Kiyoshi. Several people suspended him into the bathroom, successfully got the phone, but at that moment, someone came behind him. The person who came was Chio. At this time, Kiyoshi also expected that his high school life would end here, to live a life of being pointed at by others all his life. But he didn't expect that Chio had 1,000 degrees of vision. Without wearing contact lenses, she can't recognize Kiyoshi, and she changed her clothes behind his back. At this time, Chio looked at Kiyoshi, protagonist who didn't change clothes. Then she reminded him that the bath time was almost over, so Kiyoshi was forced to take off his clothes. He wanted to wait until Chio went in to take a shower before finding a chance to escape. However, he didn't expect to be pulled directly to the bathroom by her. So under the leadership of Chio, she came to the heavenly kingdom of women. The 4 people upstairs adhere to the principle of never abandoning or giving up, and to the kingdom of heaven together. But at this moment, hundreds of crows appeared on their heads. Then the crows attacked the 4 in a swooping attitude. Then they were harassed and fell to the ground, and 2 people appeared in front of them. The 4 people outside were tied to pillars. At this time, the vice president asked where the 5th person was. Takehito insisted that there were only 4 people. He was dealt a fatal blow. On the other side, Kiyoshi looked at such a tragic scene. While he was still wondering who made the move, she appears behind him for a lifetime. Solve his doubts. As the student union member spoke, she handed the brochure of the student union to Kiyoshi. When he turned to the last page, he realized that the person in front of him was the current student president, so he got a violent beating. He was thrown in front of everyone. At the moment, Kiyoshi wants to die, because he saw his white moonlight Chio in the crowd. The next day, the 5 of them put on their prison uniforms. Under the verdict of the student president, everyone will serve a month in prison, whether studying, working and living. All need to be spent here. There is no so-called crowd here, only the vice president's whip. Soon, they ushered in their first job, that is to build a fence around the prison in 3 days. Takehito was knocked down with a whip as soon as he raised an objection, so they worked from day to night. At this time, Shingo wanted to drink some water, but the vice president stepped on his feet and beat him. As soon as Juju went up to argue, he was whipped away. Ray couldn't bear it, so he threw himself on his body. But this made the vice president spit in disgust. It was even more humiliating to let him lick her shoes. Seeing that Rei was about to lick it, Kiyoshi stopped her. He thinks even the prisoner is too red. The vice president had nothing to say. She could only leave this place and happily. But at dinner, Rei told Kiyoshi to leave him alone. That's what everyone else meant, because he regretted it very much at this time. He almost licked the vice president's shoe. And it's the first time for others to see the girl's boob and Rei in such a recent drama. Kiyoshi looked at this group of people who were gradually abnormal due to puberty. He also stayed where he was, but he immediately realized the fun. At this moment, they were scrambling to wait for the vice president's punishment. The president also discovered this situation, so the student union secretary was sent out the next day. Such a cute appearance, this made everyone's eyes shine. Then they were assigned the task of finding the four-leaf clover. Everyone was still immersed in the secretary's whispers. Only Shingo finds the girl next door from Tap Progress more attractive. At this time, Hannah came over and asked everyone what they were doing. Shingo subconsciously replied. It turns out that Hannah has the strength of ranking 4th in karate in the country. Therefore, everyone found a pile of four-leaf clovers and placed them in front of her. Why did everyone still get hit with a blasting hammer? It's just a pity that Hannah is dressed too conservatively. It keeps them from experiencing the joy of being punished. The punishment is over. Several of them went looking for the four-leaf clover again. And at this moment, Kiyoshi found a crow cub on the ground. So he climbed up the tree river. The cub was sent back to the nest. And this scene happened to be seen by Chiyo. At this time, Kiyoshi was about to explain what happened last night, but he didn't expect Chiyo to be the first to ask. Because she has always believed that people who like fluff are good, but because Kiyoshi has to serve a sentence, she couldn't accompany him to watch sumo wrestling matches. This still makes Chiyo a little disappointed. At this moment, someone walked over. Chiyo hurriedly retreated. Seeing that Chiyo is going far, Kiyoshi immediately said that he would definitely be present in this sumo wrestling match. And the person who came here was Hannah. She hurriedly arrived directly below Kiyoshi. Then Kiyoshi saw a scene that shocked him for a year. Fortunately, he covered his mouth without making a sound. But what a coincidence, the crows returned to their nests. In order to punish Kiyoshi, seeing her releasing water, do not hesitate to chase into the toilet. It also depends on the other party's same actions. After changing the limit, Hannah looked as if her had been flooded. In this girls' school with only 5 boys, Hannah accidentally saw Vice President hitting Takehito everywhere, while being asked to look back in the same way. At this critical moment, he appeared in time to save but didn't succeed, and Takehito just left for a second. Takehito went to the prison escape of the green pheasant frog. Kiyoshi saw that things were about to be exposed, ready to seal it with a fork. Unexpectedly, Takehito said that he was here to help. A series of previous hints were also telling him that he would help. Of course, he didn't go to the conference to ask for such a stupid thing. Juge has always been a girl of the 3 kingdoms. Just to let Shingo out until Saturday. Can help me buy the limited edition figures of Romance of the 3 Kingdoms. Juge, as the military advisor of Shingi, he have arranged all the time and itinerary. The discussion between the 2 men is done in the form of backgammon. He also drew a topographic map, by the way. The chairman on the other side found that the chairman's daughter may have seen her study materials. Then they packed them all and took them away. Unexpectedly, he met the president's daughter on the way. The information was scattered all over the floor. After the president read it, he hates boys more and more, and will treat the only 5 boys more severely. Takehito was beaten the hardest every time he forgot the garbage because of his light wisdom. After being beaten 8 times a day, finally he couldn't bear it. In order to stop them, and beat Takehito first with the repayment of wisdom explosion. As a result, Takehito was directly knocked down by exerting too much force. Hannah also complained first. As a result, the vice president prepared Martin to serve them. After finishing, she asked them to repair the hut, but these are exactly Takehito's strategies. They sought half of the hut beforehand, use conflict to cause the hut to collapse, so they can dig holes with peace of mind. But they didn't expect that. Hannah was still uneasy about seeing herself. He took out the apati and asked the pheasant to drink it quickly. At this time, Takehito suddenly had a plan in his mind. Take out his trump card. It is to use his own face value to conquer Hannah. When the time comes, Hannah will become his woman, trying to escape from prison, Wouldn't that make it easier?
いやー乱世乱世3世紀初めの大陸の話でござるよ。岸君劉備の息子を後を抱えた趙軍が宋軍10万の中を駆け出し
わけわかんねえこと言ってんじゃねえ
As expected, Takehito failed. What makes the green pheasant even more uncomfortable is that, because she just drank 10 cups of a pot tea, she can't hardly hold it back any longer, but he couldn't let Hana know. Kiyoshi went to the toilet alone. Seeing Hana following up, Kiyoshi, who is almost unable to hold back, wants to make a quick decision, just rushed into the toilet and closed the door. But where is it rare to live in Hana, Kiyoshi still wanted to resist. Helpless, he couldn't match Hana. A karate master bit the solace of Hana feet slipped. The light pheasant escaped after 1,000 miles of plunge.
清殿一体どんな秘策を使ったでござる。
いや俺は何も。
何にせよこれで脱獄計画を予定通りに進行できるでござる。
貴様何をにらついている。
The chairman of the office was seen twice by the president because of his hobby, so as an educator, he felt very ashamed. He decided to seal these shady photos permanently. The picture turned. Jie-ren saw that the vice president had his back to them. Takehito motioned Kiyoshi to remove the wooden board blocking the entrance of the hole, then he went straight out. Because on the day of the appointment, he only has 3 hours to escape, so he had to come ahead of time to find out the escape route. But at that moment, the chairman came over with a shovel. He found a clearing. He dug a hole. Then he took out the photos and went to the end with his favorite, but door one by one. And Kiyoshi can only wait for him to leave by the grass. At this moment, the class bell rings. The vice president outside didn't see male protagonist for a long time. She had to go forward and look for it. On the other side, the chairman finally left. Kiyoshi hurriedly got up and went back to the entrance of the cave, but just as he wanted to get up, only to find his butt stuck outside, and the vice president was only 2 steps away from arriving in front of him. Fortunately, he stepped on a personal trap and fell. Takehito also escaped. Unfortunately, this trap was prepared by Takehito on the day he escaped from prison. Now it has been used, and it can only be changed to other means.